All right, welcome to Corner Class Tampa. And today we have a recap show for you that's pretty special. We have a bonus interns that are going to be joining the show to talk about what they think the wealth gap is, and do we as an adults have a responsibility to shrink the wealth gap for their generation. So that's coming up later on. So if you're interested in learning how to shrink the wealth gap, not only for yourself, but also for your kids, for your legacy, this is the show for you. See you on the other side. Stop your All right, and we're back. And for this special show, my name is David Carmena. I'm your host here at Corner Class Tampa. And today we're going to be talking about shrinking that wealth gap. So last show, we covered the fundamentals about it, but now I really want to dig a little deeper to talk about how the wealth gap affects the Black and Brown community. Is it something that we have a responsibility to shrink? Is it something that we just leave to our kids? Is it something that, as a CEO of our family, we should really address? But first, to shrink the wealth gap, we need to learn what the wealth gap is. As discussed in last class, there was a report generated by CNN that from a 2019 study that discussed the wealth inequities of the Black and Brown community versus the white counterpart. So let's go over those numbers. So the median net worth is probably one of the more striking of the numbers that we're going to cover. If you look at it, the white community, the average white person, family, has a net worth of $188,200, a little over $188,000. Black community, Black family, net worth $24,000. Now that was shocking to me. Is that the Black family, average Black family, net worth $24,000. White family, net worth $188,000. The second one, income per household. White, 76,000 some change. Black, 45,000 and some change. So the Black and white community, there's only 30,000-ish difference between what we bring home. But going back to what we do with our money, there's a huge, huge difference here, 188,000 to 24,000. So we're going to talk about what we do with our money in the Black and Brown community, as opposed to what our white counterpart do with their money in the Black and Brown community. Unemployment rate. The whites have an unemployment rate of 5.3%, Blacks 9.7%. So we know this. We know that it is a struggle for the Black and Brown community to get employed at the same rate as the white community. And one of the things that we're going to discuss today is with the younger generation is how we can work on that unemployment rate to be a little bit more equitable. Not only are we challenged with unemployment, but poverty rate, whites 7.3%, blacks more than double, 18.8%. And if you look at the inner cities, I'm not sure how they were able to identify the people that are below the poverty level in the inner cities, but I would venture to guess that it is higher than 18.8%. What can we do about that, guys? Do we have a responsibility to do anything about it? 18.20%, nearly 20% of the Black and brown community unemployed. That is, let's talk about the positive. What can we do about that? So those are the numbers. Those numbers, 188,000 some change median net worth. Income per household, a little over 30,000. Unemployment rate, almost 10%, probably a lot more than that. Poverty rate, 20%, probably more in the mid 20s. If you think about now, one thing that they might, with respect to the unemployment rate and poverty rate, a lot of that is underreported. So I would like to kind of see the algorithms on that and how they came up with that. And it is very interesting that, to me, it was shocking when these numbers came out. But what do our young community, our young people think about this? But before we go there and talk to them, let's talk about ways that we can overcome the wealth gap. One is that we buy property and hold. I mentioned to you last show that if you're part of that net worth, that is such a difference between Black and white community, is that the white community are buying something, buying homes, buying investment properties. The Black community and brown community, we're interested in renting. We are a culture of renters, while our counterpart is a culture of buyers. So at the end of the day, not only do you have a situation where you have a net worth inaccuracy, but also that you have, if you get into a situation where you need to pull from something that you own, you have nothing that you own. You've been paying someone else's mortgage if you are a renter. If you are in not an investor and you don't have that 7 streams of income that we've mentioned in this class, you have nothing to pull from. You have there's a rainy day, you're stuck with these lenders that may not give you the best terms to get payday loan type money or something like that. It's a negative spiral that you are as a person in the Black and brown community that we fall victim to. These payday loan lenders that charge 30, 40, 50%, want you to, if you do have something that you can sign away for them, your car or something like that, or mess up your credit, those type of things. If you had a home and or an investment property, if something happens and you need to pull some equity out of the home, you can refinance that. Interest rates for refinancing homes. Uh, I looked online the other day, and it was 2-ish%. Between 2 and 3.5%, depending on your circumstances. Good credit, how much equity you have in your home, that type of thing. But the bottom line is that you can pull equity out of you can pull uh, money out of your home using the equity that you have built up of your home. You never have a home, you never have equity, and then now you put yourself in a vulnerable position. Rent to own is another option. Whether you are the provider of the home and having someone rent with the that offers a path to own the home, or you are on the buy side of the home and you working out a deal with the seller, potential seller, saying that, hey, listen, if I start off as a rental and I agree to the terms, and we write on paper that, okay, the amount of money, a portion of the amount of money that I'm putting into renting will go toward buying a home. That is another great way to own a home if you don't have some of the other qualifications that you need. For instance, you may not have the credit score or the amount built up to put as a down payment, that type of thing. Work with your landlord. Say, hey, listen, I'm interested in buying this home. Can we work out terms that we can buy this home? So there are many ways or some ways, I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be difficult if you're in a situation where you have constantly renting and you haven't had any money saved up, and you have a poor credit score. You have to take those small incremental steps to move you toward being able to purchase a home. But it's worth it. It really is worth it. We can't continue to have a net worth inequity as $160,000, yet we make only 30,000 less than our white counterpart. We're not using our money correctly. And that's what this corner class is all about, is to teach you techniques that can be used to own property, invest in real estate, so that you can shrink the wealth gap. After the break, we're going to bring on some interns that are part of the community enterprises. They're interning with us this summer. I want to get their opinion on this wealth gap. Do we have a responsibility as adults, as grown-ups, to shrink it? See you on the other side. And we're back. And so we have 3 interns that are part of the Carmena Enterprises team that have volunteered their time to learn about entrepreneurship. So let's go ahead and introduce. Let's go ahead, ladies first. Introduce yourself. You can take off the mask. It's okay. And let's go ahead and a little bit about yourself, your age, what school you are currently attending or graduated from, and then I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions about this wealth gap.
I'm Shakira. I'm 17. I go to Middleton High School.
Shakira, we can't hear you. Just a little louder, please.
I'm Shakira, and I'm 17. I go to Middleton High School.
You said Middleton High School,
Yes, sir.
and you're 17.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who's next?
My name's Jaden. I go to Brandon High School. I'm 17.
All right, Jaden.
My name is Gerard. I just graduated from Middleton High School. I'm 18 and I attend HCC.
How old are you now?
18.
18. So we have two 17s and one 18. Now, you guys have heard, and we talked about a little bit in the green room about the shrinking and the wealth gap. We saw the intro to the show. I want to ask you a couple of questions, and there's no wrong answer. I'm just want to know, as a 17 and 18-year-old, do you think it's important that the first question, whose responsibility is it? Well, first, the wealth gap itself. What are your general thoughts about the inadequacies of the black community and white community, black and brown community and white community? What do you think overall about just the wealth gap?
I think people get stuck depending on the government to provide for them.
Okay, I just need you. We can't hear you. I need you to either come closer or speak up. One of the two.
I think people get stuck depending on the government for help.
Get stuck depending on the government. Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful. Any other?
It's truly baffling. I didn't expect such a huge difference, but we can definitely change that. Usually people, let's say, would lose motivation. That's a huge factor. There's that. Many people aren't taught the correct way on how to approach the situation. So that can also lead to such a gap. And there's much more, but
So it's like an education thing.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it all really depends on what you're taught and like what you're brought up around. You know, if you are brought around people spending their money the wrong way, you also do the same thing. It's all more like a show and tell. Like you do something in front of a younger audience, and you know that younger audience will pick up that habit because of the influence you have on them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who's responsible? Is it the parents? Is it everyone? Who's responsible? Who do you guys feel? And I want your honest answers, because I don't know myself. As a grown up or an adult, we think one thing in one way maybe, and so I'm really curious about who's responsible. Is it us grown-ups, or is everyone? Is it the kids? Who's responsible in your mind?
I think it's every individual.
Yeah.
I'd say that person specifically is responsible, because anyone can really make a change. It's just something to want to change, because you can't just you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you, if that makes sense. So honestly, it's just changing, and if they don't want to change, then they won't change.
So here's the funny thing. I think it's the parents. I think it's the grown-ups that are responsible. I think that. Go ahead.
I said they also do have a big impact because, growing up in a household, most of the children, they look up to their parents as like a dependency. I want to be like my father or my mother. And if they see them spending their money on rightly, or, not getting as much money, or however they're living their life, they see it that way, as the way that you should live, because most kids see their parents as their role models.
That's exactly right, and that's why I think that it is the responsibility of the parents to educate. And we talked about the education component. One, to become literate themselves, but then two, also to educate, because you guys get your cues from your parents. I mean, you're not adults yet, So it's not like if you're 15, 16, and in some cases 17, that you can have, you can work in the same situation, in the same capacity as someone as, your parents 35, in the 30s or 40s,
But this is
right?
also where it becomes an everybody's problem, because just like you're here teaching us about the poverty rate and everything else, everybody else can also teach their children the same thing, or adults the same thing. They just have to want to teach them and educate others, and it's just that's not how it is in the Black community. And I feel as if the white community does have that opportunity because of the people they surround themselves around.
Right. Right. So we are a product of our environment.
Hmm.
And so if we don't have an environment of ownership and entrepreneurship, that type of thing, then you're right. It's harder for us to break free from that. And I guess that's why we have the intern program going on with you guys, because I want to introduce you to ownership as opposed to working. But ownership also extends to personal ownership, owning property or investing in property. Um, Out of the numbers that we covered, the median net worth or the income or the unemployment, what report of inaccuracy, what numbers was more striking to you guys? Was it the net worth? Was it income? Was it unemployment? Was it poverty? Did any number resonate with you guys?
I think poverty and what
The network.
no, not the network.
Income.
The unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
because they can get up and go get a job. It's not hard, or they can go back to school.
Right. Right. So to a lesser degree, it's kind of about choice, there because there are opportunities for the Black and brown community to educate themselves or to be part of a training program like you guys are. So it's a lot about personal choice in some cases, right?
Most definitely.
Not in every case. Now, I'm not trying to say, in every case, but in some cases. And then we talked a little bit about mindset. How does mindset can affect this, in your opinion?
Mindset basically, I wouldn't say controls. I wouldn't say controls everything, but controls everything. Basically, how you will come back from a situation, how you feel about, let's say, you don't get a certain job that you want. It's up to you whether to feel extremely bad about it, or it's up to you to just look at this as another, or just a slight blockage to just go around and get a bigger opportunity. So life choice or mindset, just staying positive, law of attraction, whatever you bring out comes back in. So positivity, you'll get back positivity. Negativity, you'll get back negativity. Just always stay on that positive wavelength.
Right. Right. And so mindset also extends to investing in real estate. As I mentioned before, one of the largest difference in Black and brown community and white community is the median net worth, and that is real estate. A lot of times these guys own their homes versus us as the Black and brown community, we rent stuff. That is a mindset also that you need to we need to consider, is that if we have a renter's mindset versus an owner's mindset, that can be extremely powerful. Because if we never, again, circling back, if we never own anything, we have nothing to give. As adults, we have nothing to give to your generation, because we don't own nothing. We don't own the house that we've been living in for 30 years, 40 years. We don't own, every parent, I think, this is my personal opinion, every parent has an obligation to leave something to some type of legacy, something to the next generation, whether it's time, I'm sorry, your treasures or skill set, something to the next generation. And if we continue to rent and never own anything, we don't own a business, we don't own a our home, we don't own nothing, we have nothing to give. We have nothing to give to you guys. And in fact, we don't even have, in most cases, the money in the bank to bury us. We have to rely on you guys to come up with some type of funding or insurance to bury us. So we have actually not only not leaving anything to the next generation, we're indebting the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a travesty in my mind. And I know that this is an education show, and I shouldn't be doing my own personal opinion. But come on, guys.
Yeah.
How can we have this much inequity? I'm having trouble with that word today. When we make only $30,000 less,
I think it's
on
all
average.
The way we spend our money and the mindset, also the mindset that we have when we get money. Most Black people, when they get money, they think about buying materialistic things like shoes or belts or clothes and stuff like that, instead of investing that money into bigger and better things. And it all comes down to that exact thing, where your money goes to.
Right. How you use you could not have said it better. How you use the money. So part of the intern program that we have going on with you guys is we're going to work on mindset, and then also we're going to work on how to use your money. And I shared with you yesterday the millionaires mindset and how millionaires use their money to buy what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Who remembered that lesson?
Oh, can't see my hand. I do.
Go ahead, take a stab at it.
It was where they get a property or a house or a duplex or whatever, and they rent it out to somebody else, and they basically just build up that money that the person is giving them for the rent, and you use that money for whatever you would want, and you don't really spend anything out of your pocket. So basically, the person that you rented that apartment out to or that house just bought everything that you wanted.
That is so true. That is so accurate. Is that you buy the investment, and I'm going to rephrase what you said, and you right on point. You let your investment buy your wants.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a car, I know that you want a Tesla. Like you, I have no shade on that. But let's say your Tesla payment is easy math well, I know exactly what my Tesla is. It's $700 and something a month. So let's say round it up to $800 a month. Instead of using your income to pay that $800 a month, you use your income to buy an investment portfolio or an investment property or something that you invest in that will generate $800 a month in income, and then you use that income from your investment property. We're in the real estate lane, so we mentioned about a duplex. Remember the duplex one, where you live in one, you rent out the other. The proceeds or the profit from what you rent out, then you use that to pay for the car. Guess what? Now the car is free.
Yeah.
The car is free. Because your investment is paying for your want, not the other way around, where you buy the car and then now you don't have money to invest. You see, we do it differently. We do it backwards, and that's a mindset thing. So saving up your money to buy that investment vehicle, whatever that is, and then use the profit for that to pay for a want. That is the millionaire mindset. That is what I hope to, at the end of this summer, with you guys, want to instill and ingrain, is we do it backwards. And then now the investment property that we own add to our net worth. That adds to that 200 and some thousand that we hypothetical that we did yesterday. Now adds to our net worth. Now we're worth that amount. Technically, it'd be less because we worth the equity in that amount, but still, that is something that we own that someone else is paying for. That is using that money that they're paying us to get something that we want. That is how you shrink the wealth gap. And I'm glad that you guys were able to come on to talk to us about that and to really think about shifting our mind, rethinking about how we as the Black and brown community pay for stuff. Use your investment money. You invest in something, stock, real estate. My lane is real estate. Use the proceeds from that to then pay for over time, and it's not you pay for what you want. It's not an immediate gratification thing. But if you do it right, as I mentioned yesterday, you can be eating off that duplex that you bought for 30 years, 40 years. So it's all about a little sacrifice now can help you and your family for virtually the rest of your life. Because once you start buying one, you buy the next one. It's easy to buy the next one. You buy 7 or 8 of them, then they start paying for themselves with buying the next one. And then when it's time for you to pass and go and leave a legacy, you have all this property, you have all these assets that you could leave for the next generation. And that's what it's all about, guys. That is what it's all about. So I'm hoping that this little conversation that we had about how to shrink the wealth gap is beneficial. If you have any questions that I can answer, or any way that I can help you with your mindset, property acquisition, just you're stuck in a deal. Anything that we can do on our end and for community enterprises and the community brands, or in Corner Class Tampa, join our private Facebook group. Send us a question about that, or just reach out to us at Corner Class Tampa, and we will try to answer that question for you. Stay grinding, and I'll see you next time.